Hello. So you've probably seen some of these touching grass videos in your YouTube recommendations, and when I saw that I thought, hey, instead of touching grass in a lot of games, let's try avoiding grass as much as possible in one single game. And we're going to try to do this on Celeste, so we name our character, and it's time to start the challenge. Okay, on a more serious note, sometimes the game will make us spawn on top of grass. Let's just assume it's the equivalent of your grandma literally putting a flower into your hand despite your best attempts to avoid it, and that it doesn't really count as touching grass because you didn't go out to touch the grass came to touch you instead. Anyway, now we can stop moving. Since it's the prologue, we don't have access to the dash yet, so we will have to carefully jump around and grab some walls to avoid grass. We then meet Granny and skip the dialogue. Anyway, we cross the bridge and finish the prologue. On to chapter 1. We jump over those 2 grass blocks and that's it. That's all the grass there is in chapter 1. Alright, time for chapter 2. It doesn't have grass either. The next chapter with grass is chapter 4, and that's where this challenge really starts. And yes, I will count those flowers as grass. So the beginning of the level is pretty straightforward. We jump over some flowers, speak to Granny again, and now that's where it starts getting complicated. We're constantly going to have to fight against this wind current, and it already starts being an issue here. We jump over those 2 walls, but then we run out of stamina, so we wall boost on the edge and jump on the border of this block to reach the next screen. Then we use some screen transitions to grab this edge and dash on the platform. In this room, we carefully land on the very edge of this platform to regain our dash without touching the flower, and we double dash to the next room where we grab the coins, open the door, and we land on this edge. It's a berry. It doesn't count as grass, okay? Anyway, a few rooms later, we stumble upon this moving platform, which we can reach by dashing from the previous room and grabbing the edge of this wall. And here, this is where the first real issue appears. Because of the wind current, jumping over this wall doesn't cover enough distance to reach the other side without touching the grass. And if you use your dash here, you won't be able to reach the next platform. So I tried doing a double jump at the very last moment, and unfortunately we are still touching the edge of this block. So I will consider this as a grass touch. Anyway, after this incident, we just dash to the platform, grab the bubble, and move on to the next screen. We jump over those 2 flowers and do an extended hyper dash on this cloud to reach the wall, and we need to be careful when transitioning to the next screen. A few rooms later, we need to reach the top without touching those 2 flowers, which makes us run out of stamina and forces us to neutral jump on the moving platform. In this room, we encounter some difficulties with the wind current, but thankfully the snowballs are here to save the day. And now the wind current starts moving in the other direction, which forces us to very carefully control our speed to grab the edge of this platform and jump to the bubble. And after all of this, we finally reached the end of chapter 4. Alright, time to move to chapter 5. Never mind, there's no grass in here. Alright, time to move to chapter 6. And holy pineapple pizza, the difficulty spikes a lot here. And in the first few screens of the level, we already have the first obstacle. We have to go through this whole grass patch without touching it. So we'll have to use that Kevin to stack up a lot of speed and barely reach the feather. Yeah, this is called the Kevin, don't ask me why. We then completely accidentally corner jump after breaking the wall, and we reach the first checkpoint. Now here, we're supposed to go to the left and grab that feather. However, there's a bit too much grass for my liking, so instead we will go to the right, grab this little bit of wall, and neutral jump to the top. Yeah, I'm really bad at neutral jumps. Let's speed it up a little bit. We zoom on some Kevins, jump on some smiley faces, carefully transition screens, go through some tiny gap, carefully maneuver around the grass, and after a small incident, we reach the next checkpoint. Oh. With a precise demo dash, we can grab the corner of this wall and fall from this higher room. However, we are going to trigger a dialogue cutscene with Granny, which would end up in us touching the grass. But unlike most of the cutscenes, this one doesn't teleport our character when we skip it, so we can quickly dash to the wall and go back to the previous room after skipping the cutscene, allowing us to avoid the grass. After this, we end up in this grass tunnel, but thankfully there's a few rocks we can dash from so we can avoid all the grass. Almost all the grass. Anyway, a lot of the following rooms were annoying but not entertaining, so I will skip a lot of them. Apart from this goofy moment where I barely avoid a projectile with a demo dash, the only real problem in this chapter was screen transitions, because a lot of them hide some nasty grass. At least that was until this room. I tried a lot of things here. Simply dashing to the boss? That would be too easy. Grabbing this tiny bit of wall to jump from it? Nope. Doing a weird wall boost thing? Doesn't work either. So at this point, I really thought it was impossible. But then I found something. Do you see this? Well, you probably don't because it's being hidden by the foreground, but there's a green crystal right here that fortunately happens to have 2 pixels peeking outside of the kill zone. So we can grab this crystal to regain our dash, and we can't reach the wall. But in the middle of editing this video, I had another idea. What if I stopped smashing my spacebar like a monkey and bonking my head against the wall, and instead just did a short jump to reach the edge of that block? Yep, it was as simple as that. And now we're finally done with that room. We're not done with that room. We very precisely jump to this wall and then dash above those spinners to reach Battle Inn. But now that we got through this, the rest shouldn't be too bad. Anyway, after a few more annoying rooms, we get to this part. I spent an hour trying to get through this. So, we dash on the spinner to reach this wall, from which we double jump to the other side, and now we need to keep our stamina, so we neutral jump while controlling our height to bait the lasers and finally jump at the highest point of the wall to grab this edge and slow fall to barely grab this platform just before completely running out of stamina. We then reach a small tunnel where another cutscene grass touch is waiting for us. And after a few more neutral jumps, we finally finish chapter 6. I hope chapter 7 won't be as bad. I don't hope anymore. With a big wave dash we can cross the gap and yeah, sure, whatever. After this, we use screen transitions again, grab this wall, use this crystal to get our dash back, zoom through a few rooms, land on this tiny bridge, zoom to the next level. Oh, there's no grass here. Zoom through a few more levels. And now it's time to move on to the last part of the game. The summit of the mountain. The final destination of our journey. The hardest part of the game. There wasn't any grass.